Hey YouTube, welcome for the first time to UniX TCG. That is right, we are rebranding because we are starting to branch out and play a lot more than just DBS. It will always be here, it will always be my favorite, but we're going to be doing a lot of stuff, whether it comes from, that game, Battle Spirits, One Piece. We're going to be playing any TCG that tickles our fancy, and we are going to double down on that. So with that being said, I do have to kind of remake my intro, my outro. We're doing a little tweaking when it comes to the icon and whatnot. So we're gonna see some shades of that. But today, I wanted to start a new series called Prepping for the Treasure Cup, in which I'm going to take decks that I take to locals and kind of see how it goes from there. Now, at this moment, I do have quite a few decks. I've been very, very busy over the last week going over to Targets because I was at Dragon Ball Super Nationals when One Piece first came out. But as of tonight, which is the night before you guys are viewing this video, I have decks fully fleshed out for each color right now. And we got Kaido, we got Kid, we got Crocodile, and I have Zoro. And I actually just played my first locals for One Piece. I went X-0, and we got some pretty cool prizes. So with that being said, I do want to kind of break down exactly what I played, why I played certain ratios, and kind of move on from there, so you guys can kind of get the play-by-plays. And if you are going to the Treasure Cups and you haven't had the time, or you don't have a locals yet, maybe you can kind of take some of this stuff and kind of see where it goes. So without further ado, we're going to get into the deck breakdown. And if you want to support the channel, just go down, like the video, comment, let me know your thoughts, maybe even subscribe if you're digging the vibe and you haven't been here before, and we will keep it moving past then. So let's swap the views. So yeah, I definitely took Zoro to my first locals. The reason why I took Zoro, like some people may be like, oh, it's because Zoro is just like meta, but in all actuality, when a format is just trying to get itself pieced together, generally aggro is fairly solid as long as it's consistent enough, because you're getting under people's form strategies. Like before people can even get off the ground in these strategies, they're new kind of fledgling, you're able to kind of come through with the swiftness and start blowing them up. With that being said, Zoro is my favorite character, and yeah, that's pretty much the second part of it. But yeah, when it comes to them, it's like blue can do some plays, but I'm still not quite sure about blue right now. I feel like in this set it's kind of like Kaido is definitely strong, but I do feel like Kaido needs time to rev up in these formats, and once you get to a certain point, it's very strong. And then green, I also want to test more. I think green is likely like the best, but I still think I need to test more with green before I can confidently just be like, you know what, this is what I'm doing. So with that being said, what I chose to run would be first and foremost 4 Namis. This is pretty much self-explanatory. You just go off the top 5, and when you go off the top 5, you're able to search a Straw Hat that's not Nami. This is going to include events, so you can search your Gum Gum Jet Pistol or your Red Hawk if you do play it, or your 2 years later. So that's pretty cool. Next, you have got your Tony Choppers. He's just your 1 cost blocker. It is what it is. Next, you got Otama. She's very strong. Otama is not only a 2k counter, so essentially a super combo if you're coming over from Dragon Ball Super, but when she comes down, she's going to be able to drop something down to by 2k, which is going to be very important. We'll kind of discuss that a little bit later once we're done. And then we've got Neferti at 2, or at 5, wow, sorry, 4. We've got this guy, Sai, at 2, and I played 1 Sanji. I tech the Sanji because I don't always want to just go out of control. Like I don't want to, sometimes you just need an extra haster. You need an extra rusher. And this guy is a nice little pinch hitter. I don't want to go too hard, like out of control with the cards I can't combo with, I can't counter with, but sometimes he's there just to get it done. We also have Brook, and Brook is going to be able to be another 2-cost counter. I don't ever really like playing this guy, and I like to have my cards have dual purpose. I want to be able to play them if I need to, but use them as counters if I need to. And this guy kind of just doesn't feel good being played ever, really, in my opinion. You can play him and, you know, put a Rested Dawn somewhere, and you know, like, or just like you can put 2 Rested Dawn in a place, and that's cool and all, but I just feel like I don't like playing him often. Now next, you do have these 4 Usopps. Now these Usopps are more 2 counters, or 2,000 counters, so more super combos. This deck has a surprising amount of them. In this particular build, I run 9 total, but this Usopp also has another ability. When he comes down, you can actually attach it onto him, and then if your opponent, once per turn, if your opponent plays an event card, you draw a card. Because it's once per turn, you have to sink 3 Dawn into it the turn you play it. I don't really think that's very optimal. He really is just a Straw Hat searchable counter. So I have 5 Straw Hats that are double or 2 cost counter. Well, 2 cost. There are 2,000 counters that can be searched by Nami as well as 2 years later. So that's pretty good. But that's really what he's for. You've got Nico Robin. She is amazing. She overperforms. When you swing with her, when she has a Dawn attached to her, she's gonna blow up something with 3,000 or less, which is pretty much everybody's 1-drop blockers. Weenie searchers like Bonnie, as well as Momonosuke, blockers across the board, even if they're not 1-drops a lot of times. Small guys is pretty cool, and then in conjunction with Otama, you can even blow up 5Ks. You could Otama something and then swing with her when she has a Dawn under her, and bam, you know, you're removing something pretty big. Next, you got pretty much the heart and soul of the aggression in this deck, which is Zoro. And the crazy part about him is he's so simplistic, but what he does is just simply beat face in. Zoro actually just has 5,000 stats, and he's a 3 cost, and he has Rush. That's all. But that's all he needs, and we'll get into a little bit of that later. We've got 4 Utas. I don't like how she's not able to have counters, but when she's played, you can reach into your trash and pick up a red card with the cost, or red character with a cost of 3 or less, which you can see is this entire deck up until this card so far. Your 1-drop blocker, your Nami searcher, a super combo that can minus something, a swinger, a haster, like more super combos, your biggest haster, removal when she swings. She's OD. Like, there's not really much else to say about it. She's OD. For you guys that have been playing since the starter deck format, you guys should know Big Haster Luffy. He comes down, he swings for 6k in this deck almost all the time, 7k. He's got haste, and if you put 2 Dawn underneath him, he cannot be blocked. So that's pretty cool. Now moving on to the extra cards, right? We've got 4 in 2 years at the Sabaody Archipelago, and I'll explain that why, but I'll explain why in a moment. But this card is, you look at the top 5 cards from your deck, and you're just gonna search a Straw Hat crew member character card, and then yeah, you put it into your hand. Then you place the rest of them at the bottom of your deck. Very important. Then you have the Gum Gum Jet Pistol. You just KO something. Yeah, you KO something with 6k power or less, and both of these cards just use their main effects if you get them from trigger. And the last bit is actually the Red Hawk. So Red Hawk is if your leader or one of your leaders or characters gains 4k for the battle, and then you can pop something on your opponent's side of the board with 4k or less power. It's 2 costing, and then its trigger, you just minus something by 10k. So where this all comes together now that you guys see in the deck list. You've got Zoro, and Zoro's main ability is to put a Dawn underneath him, and then on that turn, all of your characters gain 1,000. This is very, very, very important because this opens up, it's simplistic, but it opens up so many levels of aggression. First and foremost, these guys, these 4Ks, they become instantaneous 5Ks, which means going second, you have some of the most destructive plays that you can think of. Going second, you put two Dawn out, right? And you play Nefertiti. And after playing her, you pass. Your opponent, you know, gets their swings off, and then on your next turn, you can follow it up with play your other 2 Dawn out, so you have a total of 4. Attach 1 Dawn to your leader, bring you down to 3 open. Swing with her for 5k neutral against the leader. Swing with your leader as a 6k, you know, and then you just tap your 3 to play Zoro and swing. And generally this early in the game, you're probably just going to be able to defend whatever you have with your counters, because we have, like I said, quite a few 2Ks. But you defend your board, and already that's 3 powerful shots. So 1 of them neutral, 2 of them 10K above neutral. So you're able to do a lot of damage with this effect. And it pretty much turns out damage output across the board. This Robin becomes a 5K when she swings, but she already had a Dawn attached to her if you want to use her special effect, making her a 6K, you know? Your leader's always swinging for 6K because you're always going to attach a Dawn to make its effect go off, but you're really able to actually get there. That's pretty much what the entire deck is about. Now, when it comes to utility, you're able to do quite a lot. The deck has 8 search cards, at least this deck does, and those search cards are Nami and this. Some people do not play in 2 years. The reason why I maxed on 4 is because the only times you really stumble with this deck is when you do not have a play for the turn. You don't have an aggressive play for the turn, mind you. And so with this deck, you can start running hasters to rushers to start putting on pressure. But when you start putting on pressure and you don't need to commit more to the board, you know, whether you're facing Kaido and you don't want the board wipe, you can start playing non-hasters, you know. You start playing your Nikos, you start playing your Utas. You can start playing, you know, more 2-drops to make sure that you can save your rushers for when you need to change up the battle math, how many attacks are going to go through. Now, when you aren't able to string together these plays, as an aggro deck, you falter. So I play 4 of these because I never want to be without an aggro play. On turn 1, you know, even though on turn 1, if you're going second and you don't have one of these 2-drops, a Nami and a in 2 years works. That's 2 energy. You're setting up your next turn beautifully. A Nami in 2 years also works. You're thinning your deck out by 2. There's a couple of cool interactions that you can do, but these are going to be just pure consistency. When it comes to your destruction suite, you've got Gum Gum Jet Pistol. Like I said, KO something from 2 or less, from 6K or less. And let me just backtrack a bit. If this is in your life, it's great when your opponent swings at you and you literally start searching before your turn even starts. You know, you search and you're able to just find your next piece for next turn. It just feels really good. But yeah, moving back to Gum Gum Jet Pistol, destroying something with 6K power or less is really, really neat. Right now, I don't have the most utilization outside of this card because right now the only other combo I have is to use Utama to lower you down and then play this. But this is a great combo. One of the most detrimental cards in the game right now is Kid 8-drop. And if Kid 8-drop is on board and they have it sideways and you have to attack it, you may have to sink a lot of power into it. Or you tap 1, play Otama, minus it by 2K, and then it's at 6K, so you can pay 4 and Gum Gum Jet Pistol it. These are crazy things. You did spend 2 cards, but you just spent 5 energy to combat their 8 energy play. Technically 9 because they probably attached it onto it to make sure it had its blocker effect. If they didn't, I don't know what game they're playing. So this is a pretty cool thing. Also, just a little note, when you're playing against opposing red decks and they could be playing Red Hawk, you always can attach your leader first thing in the turn, because then at that point, even your 2-drops are going to be 5Ks, taking them out of the range of Gum Gum, Fire Fist, Red Hawk. So that is pretty much the deck. A lot of straightforwardness, a lot of battle math, keeping tempo is of the utmost importance. There's nothing over the top here in terms of cards interactions, but aggro decks take strong fundamentals, very strong fundamentals. I won a mirror today at the last round of locals, just because of my previous Magic experience and just understanding how aggro versus aggro becomes a very tactical battle for tempo. And, you know, I was able to gain that tempo. I chose to go second, you know, drawing an extra card, denying them of extra cards. I had the combo I just spoke to you about playing the 2-drop, then playing the haster. I defended some cards. Uta allowed me to recycle the same Usopp for 2 turns while I didn't have much else to combo, but that allowed me to keep putting my Zoro above where he needed to be to stay alive. And it just eventually got there. So this is the current deck. Like I said, X-0 at locals, got a lot of prizes, gonna be putting them up for sale soon enough. Very excited about that. And I'm going to locals again tonight. So I need to decide whether or not I'm going to continue playing red after some tweaks, and then I'll come back with a how I changed it video, or if I want to choose one of the other decks I got, because Kid, Kaido, and Croc do await. So yeah, let me know if you guys like this video. I'm very, very excited to make more One Piece content, and I will see you guys the very next time you decide to join Universe X. Thanks.